I work for Merlin. Been here for a few years. Started here on doing the Exchange migration. So we did that and did the SharePoint migration, and then we started to implement Skype. So when I joined Merlin, we only had about 100 people on OCS. So that was the instant messaging journey they'd been through. And then we moved them through to building Skype on-prem, and then moving to Teams. So that's the short version of the journey.
And for people that don't recognise the Merlin brand, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's theme parks, it's resorts, so it's Chessington, Legoland, those kind of things.
Yeah, we have about 140 locations, 135, 40 locations around the world. That includes the Sea Life brand, the Legoland Discovery Centres, which are the small Lego attractions normally in malls and so forth. And then we own all the Legoland theme parks. Most people only know Legoland Windsor, but we've got California, Florida, Malaysia, Japan, and we're building some out in China at the moment. So it's quite a lot of brands that a lot of people just know Merlin and Zoltan Towers, but we've got quite a few.
Yeah, so you've got those 140 odd countries, so you've got all the country complexity, but then you've also got actual theme parks with phones, hotels with phones. So it's not just your typical office knowledge worker scenario. You've got way more interesting exotic scenarios.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got some simple scenarios like the Legoland Discovery Centre's got 5 or 6 phones, which were probably on a PBX in the old days, and we just migrate them over to Skype or to Teams, depending on where they were on the journey. But yeah, we have complexities like Alton Towers. It was the phone system in Alton Towers was a Mitel put in 1986. So we had complexities there about the delivery of the telephony and analog lines and so forth. So we take all those pieces and try and bring them all together. Some of them were done in the Skype days, so built upon the internal Skype infrastructure that we built, and ribbon gateways, Sonos gateways at the time, and then analog gateways, the tenors. In various different scenarios in different places. Sometimes we migrated with a big bang approach. Sometimes we put gateways upstream. Sometimes we just put migrated phone numbers one by one and so forth. So it's been exciting. So
did the relationship with Pure IP start with the Skype for Business on-prem? Was that when it started going to SIP trunking? Yeah,
it started. We actually opened a new office in London, a small IT office. And my boss said to me, what we're going to do about telephony. I said, well, how about we're on a link at the time. Said, shall I put phones in and give everyone a telephone number? So we did that. So I went to Pure IP and I went to another organisation. I said, look, I want 50 numbers from both of you, please. Can I have 50 from Pure IP, 50 from this other company? And I want them connected to some ribbon gateways, some Sonos gateways at the time in our EMEA data centre over the internet. And Pure IP delivered that within a few days, and the other company didn't. So that's where we went. So then we moved on from there, and then put MPLS links into our data centers in the US, in the UK, EMEA, and then we put connections from Pure IP into our Asia Pac ribbon gateways, and it just all grew from there. Some of the sites where we couldn't use Pure IP, we kept some ISDN into some gateways or SIP trunks into gateways. Things like Malaysia where you can't port numbers. So things like that. So we've got a few providers still, but majority of our environment is pure SIP trunking from Pure IP.
Nice. And did it start off as you ran all the SBCs in-house, and have you moved to OCDR and kind of hosted voice?
So we had quite a few gateways. Probably had about 25 ribbon gateways at one point, with ISDN or SIP into them or SIP into our data centers. And then as we moved away from Skype, we went to Pure IP and said, can we have direct routing trunks, which you were like Pure IP were like the forefront of this. There's not many providers. This is way before Operator Connect. So we had that for Pure IP, and then literally you have a portal where we could hit a button if I wanted to migrate one number from Skype to Teams. We did that, or if I wanted bulk, I could do that in the gateway, or I could schedule that with the support guys. So it was a very easy migration from a DDI point of view from Skype to.
And that porting stuff is non-trivial, like getting all that lined up on your side of the fence as the customer, the losing provider, the winning provider, that's there's some stuff there.
Yeah, so we've done ultimately done about 90 ports with Pure IP.
Amazing.
And then really had no issues. We had one issue with in Italy, but that was to do with the local provider, not pure IP. But yeah, normally, we got quite complacent towards the end about porting. It was like, yeah, it's going to happen. Don't worry about it. And
I feel like that's a confidence journey lots of people need to go on, isn't it? Because the first time you do it, you're like, well, my numbers are going from this provider to this provider. Yeah. If they don't go, what happens?
That was the early days. The early days were, I'm about to port numbers for this theme park. Are they going to work in the morning? And that's the question. But no, towards the later times, it's just we're porting three attractions tonight, and we'll work on that. So yeah, it worked really well, and then moving from Skype to Teams was really easy as well. So yeah, it's been a great journey.
That's awesome. And how was that Skype to Teams journey? Because again, you're relinquishing a bit more infrastructure and control this time to Microsoft's cloud.
Yeah, it's a lot less pressure now. I don't have to look after Skype service. Let Microsoft deal with it. No, that migration was fine. We had to, as you can imagine, in a theme park, we may have 400 or 500 phones. They may be analog. They may have been old VVXs, or there might be new, Yay Links or Polyphones. So we had to work out the migration strategies at the different locations. Some of them were simple to do. We had some scripts that literally moved to the VVXs from the Skype environment over to the Microsoft SIP gateway.
You gloss over that, Paul. You've done some really clever stuff there to get that stuff to work and to push
there was the complexity is with the VVXs. If you want to move them from Skype to Teams, you have to factory reset them. Factory reset means basically you have to go to the phone and you have to put new PIN code in and so forth. So we worked out a mechanism of not factory resetting, just removing the config from them. So Microsoft thought it was factory reset, but it wasn't. The PIN stayed the same, and so the phone would reset web config and local config, and then it would use DHCP to talk to Teams. But we could then use a PowerShell or a script that which I found online, which allowed you to connect to the phone, and you could remotely get the code and then sign in. So we could remotely sign those phones in all from a central location, rather than having to, our largest theme park is probably 2 miles wide. So you can imagine how complicated it would be to fix 300 phones in signing them in manually.
Just the time overhead to go around and do that physically and test them all. Yeah,
that would be fairly impossible to get into the phone in the middle of the London Eye.
So you've got a mix now of like Teams native phones and traditional SIP.
Yeah, so we got probably got 2,500-3,000 VVXs still. I mean, they are rock solid phones. Yeah. So they work really well. The SIP gateway is a fairly reliable service now. I think the early days had a few issues, but it's fairly reliable now. Yeah,
it feels like Microsoft are committed to that platform in the sense of they've got decks running off of it and third party algo and like it feels like it's a core part of the service, whereas in the early days it felt like a migration service. I've spoken to that team quite a lot, and they're doing more and more work on that SIP infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think in the early days we were a little concerned about that, because if you've got a phone that needs to be in an important location like a Lego base or an emergency location, it needs to be reliable. But we had a couple of outages with SIP Gateway in the early days, which has been very reliable now. And to be honest, we double up sometimes, which we put a Teams phone in the same location. So SIP Gateway goes down, it would take the SIP Gateway and Teams to go down to have that scenario. So it's so we do the A links. We've actually started looking at the Polycoms, the newer Polycoms, the 350s. The Dutch ones weren't really appropriate for our top of a sharp trunk or something. And we've also started looking at the audio codes as well, the cheaper versions of those, which
because they have physical key phones as well, don't they?
Yeah, very similar. So we've got a mismatch of different environments, but it's all well supported. It's all in the portal. It's all it's a fairly simple environment to support. Nice. Now it's out there. So.
And you're doing some, you're obviously doing the Team SIP gateway, but you're doing some direct SIP stuff with Pure IP as well, which is interesting.
Yeah, so we've done two types of things there. We use a Noise in Contact for our contact center. So we have direct SIP trunks into Nice. So we can deliver telephone numbers. The beauty of that is I can take a number that may be on an auto attendant in Teams, and suddenly that wants to be run by NICE. I can just hit a button and it can go over to NICE, and vice versa. So I can bring stuff back. If I wanted to change someone's DDI to be a NICE number, we can do that. So that is the real beauty of having one provider to do those. We've also got SIP trunks into our Mitel, so we have some Mitel phone systems still in the hotels, and so we have SIP trunks into those directly from PureP. So we can have non-secure trunks, we could have TLS trunks, it's up to us how
and you can mix and match your number ranges across those scenarios. So if as many of sites are on a journey, it might be actually we just flip to SIP for the PBX to start. Now we're in a good position, we know where the numbers are, we can start hiving them off for Teams or hiving them off for whatever else. Yeah,
it's really good. And then recently I got set a challenge, which was to connect our Paxton door system to an auto attendant in Teams. So that was my latest challenge. And then basically spoke to PureP, and they've got a SIP Connect service, which is basically a SIP register service where you put username and password, and you can and register a client on there. So the Paxton system was a fairly basic system, but we managed to get all that working with some support from PureP. So that works quite well. So you can hit a little buzzer, and that will call a bunch of people within the floor or in that office, and then they can answer the phone and then open the door if they need to.
Nice. And how's it been working with the PureP team in terms of migrations and support?
Yeah, so I mean, as I said, I've been working with them for many years. So the early days was PureP was a slightly smaller company, so we directly work with people. But my first challenge was a ULAW or ALAW issue in California many years ago, but we solved that, and we still have challenges that, for example, that Paxton system, we had refer issues and so forth. But PureP are very knowledgeable people from the sort point of view. They're really, really easy to get hold of, respond to email well, and I've never really had any amazing challenges from PureP, and I don't think I've ever had an outage. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I don't think I've ever had an outage either. So
that's awesome. And for you, Paul, how's it been for you jumping from the Exchange world into the voice world? I mean, you're well into the voice world now.
Yeah, so I think I've done Exchange all my life, really. That was, I did MS Mail when not many people remember that, but so I started with MS Mail. But I've always been playing with like audio codes, MP 114s, with the OCS R2 days. So I was on the RDP program for OCS R2. So we were playing with those and getting calls coming in and out. And then the early days I worked with the BBC. So we looked at how we could introduce at the time, and we actually used OCS R2 and connected some sites up using that. So that journey just took it. So when I came to Merlin, the initial journey was really to get SharePoint and Exchange migrated to the cloud. But then you could see the opportunities for doing OCS and LCS at the time and Link. And then we moved into the Skype world and then the Teams world. So now it's exciting. Also had a great opportunity to do all the meeting rooms here as well. So come up with a meeting room standard. So we've got a standard across all 100 meeting rooms or 100 Teams meeting rooms. So
awesome. Oh, Paul, thanks for sharing your journey and the Merlin journey. It's an amazing project. I always find it super interesting because it's not just your typical knowledge worker. Like, it feels like you've got all these edge cases to deal with. It's awesome to see you can get those kind of environments to cloud, to SIP, and it's scalable and reliable. It's great.
Yeah, fantastic. Good to speak to you again, Tom.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.